Civil Rights Hero Presentation 1950 through 1965. Who are we talking about? May Mallory. May Mallory was an activist in the civil rights movement and the Black Power movement. She was a leader active in the 1950s through the 1960s. When was she born? She was born June 9th, 1997 and died 2007 at the age of 80 years old. The history of May Mallory. At 12 years old, she moved with her mother to Harlem for economic prosperity. They were among the thousands of African Americans who migrated to the North to build new futures. May Mallory started her new life in New York as a domesticated worker for white families, cleaning their homes for very little compensation. At the same time, she worked as a factory worker, where she and several black women were denied membership to unions. May Mallory also became politically active in the education system. 3 years after the Brown versus Board of Education, she knew there was much more that had to be done. She went to a New York City Board of Education public hearing and announced that the schools in New York City were no different than those of the South. Her testimony pressured the board to construct a new school building and hire new teachers. In 1956, she joined and became a spokesperson of the Harlem Nine, a group of black mothers who were outspoken about the conditions of black schools. The Harlem Nine pushed for thousands of parents to move their children to racially integrated schools. With the help of a black lawyer, Paul Zuber, and the Harlem Nine were able to win their lawsuit and continue their fight for school desegregation.
She was a political prisoner during the civil rights movement because she was accused of holding a white couple hostage, but you probably never heard of her. Here are three facts you should know about May Mallory. She rose to prominence in the late 1950s in Harlem, New York, after she sued the school system on the grounds of upholding segregation and not providing equitable resources in black schools. Her daughter wanted to go into the field of nutrition, and after finding out that her local school didn't offer those classes or any college prep classes at all, she tried to enroll her in a white school and was denied. So she sued not on the grounds of wanting to be close to white folks, but on the grounds of wanting to have equitable access to resources. And she won the case. Number two, she was a proponent of separatism and armed self defense as a method for black people to achieve true liberation. Matter of fact, she often collaborated with Robert Williams, the author of Negroes with Guns, a man who was also a staunch proponent of black people defending themselves with arms. And number one, she was once accused of holding a white couple hostage with Robert Williams and his wife during a shootout against white supremacists while they were attempting to protect the Freedom Riders. Because of this situation, Robert Williams and his wife fled to Cuba, and May fled to Ohio before being captured and spending some years in prison. The reality was they weren't trying to hurt them. This white couple purposely went through that neighborhood, which was barricaded, to attempt to infiltrate it. And Robert Williams and May helped them out because a black group wanted to lynch them.
These are my resources, and thank you for listening to my presentation.
My presentation is on Ella Baker. Ella Baker was born on December 13, 1903, in Norfolk, Virginia. At only 3 years old, she and her family were forced from their home because of race riots. In 1957, Ella Baker moved to Atlanta, Georgia. She helped to organize Martin Luther King Jr.'s new organization, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. She ran a voter registration campaign called the Crusade for Citizenship. Ella Baker worked behind the scenes as a mentor, fundraiser, and advisor. She had a great influence on the organizations and leaders of the civil rights movement. Ms. Baker dedicated over 50 years of her life to being a civil rights activist. She helped to shape the foundation of the American civil rights movement.
Until the killing of black men, black mothers' sons, becomes as important to the rest of the country as the killing of a white mother's son. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until this happens. We who believe in freedom cannot rest.
Freedom is a constant struggle. Many who participated in the civil rights movement of the 1960s took part alongside a woman named Ella Baker. Ella Baker's life is intertwined with the history of that movement. In the decades of the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, she worked with all of the well-known leaders. But mainly, she worked with unknown people.
These are my resources. Thank you. And the black is for our people, the red is for the blood that has been shed in the struggle for freedom, and green is for the land. Those were the colors I chose for this presentation. Thank you.
My civil rights hero presentation. Today I'll be talking about Ruby Bridges, who was born September 8, 1954 in Titletown, Mississippi. Ruby Bridges was the first African-American child to integrate an all-white public elementary school in the South on November 14, 1960. She was escorted to class by her mother and U.S. Marshals due to violent mobs. Bridges' Raise Act was a milestone in the civil rights movement. When Ruby Bridges was 4 years old, her family moved to New Orleans, hoping for a better life in a bigger city. Her father, Abel Bridges, got a job as a gas station attendant, and her mother, Lucille Bridges, took night jobs to help support their growing family. Soon, Ruby had 2 younger brothers and a younger sister. When Bridges was in kindergarten, she was one of many African-American students in New Orleans chosen to take a test determining whether or not she could attend a white school. It is said that the test was written to be especially difficult so that students would have a hard time passing. The idea was that if all the African-American children failed the test, New Orleans schools might be able to stay segregated for a while longer. On the first day of school, classes weren't held. Nearly all white parents had to keep their children home as a way of going against segregation. Bridges had to spend the entire day in the principal's office. Resource page. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.